It was supposed to be just another ordinary lunch. The billionaire, Johlia Crane, sat at the head of the longest table in the city's most expensive rooftop restaurant. Silver forks, polished wine glasses, fresh-cut flowers, everything was curated to perfection. A dozen investors watched him carefully, waiting for him to take the first bite. He lifted his fork. Then, a shout, sharp, unexpected, from the edge of the patio. "Don't eat that." Every head turned. The voice had come from a barefoot boy, dirt on his cheeks, ragged shirt flapping in the wind, a homeless child, standing behind the velvet rope no one was allowed to cross. Security rushed toward him, but Johlia had already stopped. His fork hovered in the air, his eyes fixed on the boy's trembling hands. "Let him speak," Johlia said calmly, holding up one hand. The guards hesitated. Olivia, Jolia's personal assistant, stepped forward, concern tightening her jaw. "Sir, he's probably just—" "Let him speak," Johlia repeated, his voice firm. The boy took a step closer. His eyes, wide, terrified, were locked on Jolia's plate. He pointed at the roasted vegetables. "Please, just don't eat it," he said again, quieter this time. "Something's wrong with it." Laughter broke out among the investors. Olivia didn't laugh. Johlia didn't either. "Who are you?" Johlia asked, narrowing his eyes. "Why are you here?" I was looking for someone," the boy said. "I was just watching from outside. Then I saw them put something in your food." "Who?" Olivia asked. "Who put what?" The boy looked down. "The lady in the green apron. I saw her in the alley this morning. She had a bag with kitchen things and a little bottle. She poured something into a container that looked like your lunch." Jolia's fingers tightened around his fork. A green apron. That matched the uniform of the head chef's assistant. The billionaire turned to Olivia. "Find out who that is, now." Behind him, the other diners had gone silent. The mood had shifted. This was no longer lunch. It was a storm waiting to break. The boy stood frozen, waiting to be yelled at, dragged away. But Johlia leaned forward. "What is your name?" he asked softly. The boy looked up. "Rabbit." "Rabbit?" Olivia blinked. "That's your real name?" "No," he said. "It's what they called me at the shelter. I run fast. I had to." A pause. Then, Rabbit whispered, "I never meant to cause trouble. I just didn't want anyone to get hurt." Johlia stared at the boy. There was something about his face, something achingly familiar. He could not place it, but it gnawed at the back of his mind like a memory just out of reach. Then Olivia returned, her face pale. "She's gone. The assistant, the one in the green apron, left 15 minutes ago. No one saw her leave." Johlia set down his fork, carefully. The boy had no reason to lie. And now, someone had vanished. In his chest, something cracked open. This was no accident. And somehow, Johlia knew this boy was connected to more than just lunch. The rooftop was silent. All eyes were on Rabbit, the barefoot boy who had just stopped a billionaire from eating a poisoned meal. Johlia leaned back in his chair, his sharp mind racing. "Get me the kitchen footage," he told Olivia. "Every camera, every angle. I want to know who that woman is and why this boy knew before any of us." Olivia nodded and quickly made the call. Meanwhile, Johlia stood and slowly walked toward Rabbit. The boy didn't flinch, just stood there, small hands clenched, eyes alert. "You said you saw her this morning," Johlia said carefully. "Where exactly?" Rabbit hesitated. "The alley behind the restaurant. She had a bag with kitchen things and a little bottle. I sleep near the vents, so I hear things. You sleep behind this restaurant? Olivia asked softly, disbelief flickering in her voice. Sometimes, when the shelter's full. Rabbit murmured. I don't want trouble, but when I saw what she did, I had to say something. Johlia nodded slowly. And you risked everything. For me, a stranger. Rabbit didn't answer. He didn't need to. That was the moment Jolia's world shifted, not because someone tried to poison him, but because a homeless child had protected him, while the people paid to guard him did not even notice. Back inside, Olivia returned holding a tablet. Her hands shook slightly. We have the footage. Come see this. They gathered around. The screen showed a woman in a green apron entering the kitchen with a small metal bottle. She glanced around, then, just for a second, emptied something into a bowl before stirring it quickly and walking out. She never looked back. Jolia's jaw tensed. Who is she? Olivia zoomed in. That's not one of our regular staff. Wait, there's something else. Another figure appeared in the corner of the frame, a blur. A child, curled up near the kitchen exhaust fan, watching. Rabbit. You were right there, Olivia whispered. I told you. I saw it all. Why were you even here that early? Johlia asked. Rabbit looked away. Then, slowly, he said, I was looking for someone. Who? Rabbit's voice trembled. Her name was Olivia. She worked here, I think, years ago. Olivia froze. Johlia turned to look at her. I don't know him, she said quickly, too quickly. I've never seen him before. But her voice had cracked. Rabbit stared at her quietly. Your locket, he said. It fell out of your coat once. It had a photo of a baby and a name. Mine. Jolia's breath caught in his throat. What is he saying? He asked, turning to Olivia. Is that true? Olivia stepped back, her eyes brimming with panic. He's confused. He must be... No, Rabbit said. I remember it, and I remember you crying when you saw it. Silence. Then Olivia whispered, barely audible. He wasn't supposed to remember. Johlia stared at her in disbelief. Olivia, he said, voice low, what have you done? Rabbit looked at her, eyes not angry, not scared, just tired. I was looking for my mother, and I think I just found her.
The rooftop air had turned heavy, like it could break under the weight of the truth. Olivia stood frozen. Rabbit's words echoed in her ears like a bell she had tried to silence for too long. I was looking for my mother, and I think I just found her. No, she whispered, more to herself than anyone else. This cannot be happening now. Johlia looked between them, stunned. Olivia, is he telling the truth? She did not answer. Her shoulders rose and fell with a single shaking breath. She had built her entire life on silence, on forgetting. But now, the past stood right in front of her, barefoot and shaking in the sunlight. I was 16, she said finally. No one knew, not even you, Johlia. I had him, and I gave him away. They told me it was better that way. Rabbit's face did not change. He just looked tired. I used to sing outside the shelter sometimes. I remember your voice before I remembered your face. Tears gathered in Olivia's eyes. I never stopped looking, but he was shuffled through so many places. I thought he was gone. Johlia stepped back, trying to breathe through the pounding in his chest. You're telling me this child saved my life, and he is your son? Neither of them spoke. And then, as if the universe demanded more from the moment, Olivia's phone buzzed. A message from the security team. She opened it and gasped. Johlia, the assistant, the woman in the green apron. She was not working alone. Jolia's eyes narrowed. What do you mean? She is connected to someone from inside your company, a man. We just checked the kitchen staff registry. His name was erased 5 days ago, but a camera caught him speaking with her this morning. They planned this. Rabbit looked up sharply. I heard them. They said something about shutting him up for good. I thought they meant a fight, but when I saw the bottle, Olivia turned to Johlia. They were not trying to poison your food just to harm you. They were going to frame someone else. Who? He asked. Rabbit answered softly. You. Johlia went pale. What? Rabbit nodded. I know what I heard. The man said, once the billionaire falls, she will take the blame. Jolia's voice dropped. She? Rabbit said, her name was Olivia. They planned to make it look like you and she were in it together. Olivia stumbled back. That is why she vanished. She planted evidence. She knew I would never run. And you didn't, Johlia said. Even knowing all this, you stayed. You faced it. Rabbit looked at her again. Even after all these years, you didn't leave. For the first time, Olivia dropped to her knees, arms open. Rabbit hesitated. Then he walked forward. The boy who had shouted to save a stranger's life finally stepped into the arms of the mother who had been a stranger to him all along. Johlia turned away, hiding the tear that slipped down his cheek. But even as the moment softened, a storm brewed beneath it. Because someone had tried to end him, and someone inside his company wanted him gone. This was no accident, and Johlia was no longer just a target. He was a man who had been warned by a boy with nothing to gain and everything to lose. For the first time in years, Johlia Crane, the billionaire feared across boardrooms, stood still with no words. Across from him, a barefoot boy had just stopped an assassination attempt, reunited with a mother who had once disappeared into shame, and exposed a plot buried deep inside Jolia's own empire. And now, the most painful part remained. Who is behind this? Who inside my company wants me gone? Olivia stood, holding Rabbit close, her voice steadier now. I already requested a private investigation. The erased name from the kitchen logs was not just any staff member. It was Nolan Greaves, your former COO. Jolia's face hardened. Nolan. He blamed you, Olivia said, for cutting him out of the expansion deal. He lost everything. Rabbit overheard them say this was his revenge. Rabbit nodded. They said, if you died, Olivia would go to jail, and the company, well, it would be his to inherit through a proxy. I don't understand most of it, but I remember every word. Johlia took a deep breath, then pulled out his phone. Nolan will not get away with this. Within hours, the footage had been turned over to police. Nolan was arrested at a private airstrip, attempting to flee with forged documents. The woman in the green apron was caught 2 days later. Justice came, and with it, something far more rare. Peace. Days passed. The rooftop restaurant reopened. But this time, Johlia sat at a smaller table. No investors, no suits. Just Olivia and Rabbit, both dressed clean, calm, and finally together. Why did you help me that day? Johlia asked Rabbit. Rabbit looked at him and said quietly, because even though you were rich, you looked alone. Johlia blinked. Alone? You were surrounded, Rabbit said, but no one saw you. I know what that feels like. The words struck Johlia deeper than any betrayal had. He looked at the boy not just as a hero or a survivor, but as a reflection of himself. I was alone, but I am not anymore. He reached into his pocket and placed a card on the table. Rabbit picked it up. His eyes widened. It was a certificate, a scholarship, fully funded. issued by the Rabbit Foundation. "I named it after you," Johlia said softly, "to help every child like you who once had no voice but risked everything to do the right thing." Rabbit looked at Olivia. She nodded, tears in her eyes. "And if you want," Johlia added, "this seat, it's yours. You are welcome at my table, always." The boy who had once shouted from the shadows now sat where only power had once belonged. And for the first time, in that sky-high restaurant, the world did not look so cruel. It looked healed. Because sometimes the person everyone overlooks becomes the one who saves everything. He was just a homeless boy, barefoot, invisible, until the moment he screamed, "Don't eat that!" The billionaire froze. What came next? A truth so shocking that it exposed betrayal, uncovered a buried past, and reunited a mother with the son she never stopped searching for. Stay to the end because this story will break you and then heal you.